Terranol with Twisted Mesquite Performance Horses. We are on a mission to create a world-class 2-year-old program that specializes in the cow horse. This week we're doing a review with Cairo. This is his 6th week in our program. We're going to go over the things that we've been working on and just kind of talk about those. So when I come out with him at this point in our program, I've been working on making sure this bending at the walk is good, making sure that he's getting off of my leg right there. With him, he's kind of wanting to step around, and his circle isn't as good as I would like. We're coming around here, so I'm going to pick up and have him get soft right here, and then kind of leave him in this circle a little bit more to where we can travel, where we kind of travel forward and get some forward momentum around this circle a little bit more, where he's not just sitting there thinking about tipping his nose or bending to my leg as much, but we're actually still thinking about moving forward, getting some forward momentum. You know, all these things is just being aware of what we're working on and balancing these horses out. You know, we can balance them out between moving them forward and getting them shut down, where we can have too much forward momentum, forward motion on one to where they don't, you know, for simpler terms, they got more whoa than go, and you can have them shut down so much that they've got more, or the vice versa. You have them doing these loping exercises where you're traveling out, and where you have them moving forward so much, and they have more go than whoa. And so it's just a balancing act of understanding what we're working on, and then balancing these horses out. So we're going to do, you know, the exercises seem to be the same, but with every horse we may ask it in a little different manner. Not so much ask of it, but we're gonna so like with him, where I want him to go around this circle, get a little bit more movement to his feet, so he shuts down every time I pick him up there. And so I want to make sure that we're still moving out, and so I want to get a little more time just moving out in this circle. And then with some like Wiz, where she's pretty forward, I might want to do a lot more exercises where we're bringing her back down. Got us a little rat or something in their arena here. Like a big old mole. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, with him, we've been working on this loping and steering exercise. He's been doing very well. We'll kind of show it. We'll show it here. He's not listening to me very well right here. Just gonna take him around. But anyway, so our exercise, I want him loping around. He's not listening very good right now. That's what we work on this stuff for. So I want him moving out. I want him staying in this lope. And when we get to the end, I want him steering. I want him listening to my direction here. And so if he doesn't, I'll kind of change directions. Get him paying attention to me a little bit. There, he's doing better now. So we want to go around here. We kind of have it. They call it the cloverleaf exercise. What we got is kind of a Punnett square, where we just kind of have this arena squared off into 4 sections. And so I want him to lope down here on a straight line and then come down here deep to the end and wait for me to steer him. And so we're going to cut it a little short because we have our flag up. We don't run that horse over that flag, but we had been running all the way to the end there. And so this helps these horses rate back down. Your faster horses, your faster pace horses, it helps them rate back down. They realize they're not in a hurry. They realize that they don't need to be in a hurry to get to the end, because then they're just going to keep going around. And then the horses that are kind of on the lazier side, it kind of gets them freed up a little bit, moving out. And so it kind of helps both of them, both types of horses there. But it also, we get to the end here and we need him to wait on us and then go in the direction we're needing him to go while he's at that lope. And so the gate, our lead isn't as important right now. A lot of times these horses will pick that correct lead up anyway, but I'm wanting him to steer and to listen to me. And so this gives him an opportunity to do so. If he gets off that straight line, I'll bring him back. Right now I'm just using one rein at a time. It really helps these horses to have a lot of time to do this, to spend a lot of time at this lope doing these exercises. Really helps them progress. So I'm going to bring him to the middle here, ask him to stop and back up. That back up there, he's had a real bad habit of backing up crooked, kind of backing up crooked there. So we've been working on getting that hip kicked back the opposite direction, and then asking him to come backwards. But anyway, we'll kind of show you some of that stuff I've been doing on the fence line, stopping him on the fence line and backing up on the fence line, where we can kind of keep that hip up underneath him a little bit more, kind of have him back up in a straight line rather than just automatically kicking his hip out to either side. But anyway, I want to let him kind of rest here a second in the middle of this pattern, and then we'll go around the other direction. And so, as I said, he's doing really well, getting a really good handle on him. This horse gets better every time I get on him. Retains the information very well. He's eager to learn. And so right here, if he goes and avoids a corner or tries to cut out of that corner, I'll take him back into that corner, just like we were doing on our last loping exercise. And so this kind of builds on that. If I need to speed him up a little bit, I can. Just kind of kiss to him or put my feet on him a little bit more. See, this corner was better there. He didn't cut it quite as much. there's a little bit of a wet spot that I wanted to avoid right there, but been getting plenty of rain this week, and so working these horses around that rain has been a good challenge. But anyway, so I was saying with this horse, he's been very good-minded. He's I say he pretty much stays in a good mind every time we get on him, every time we work him. He's been good. He progresses. He listens. You know, he's sensitive, but he's not so sensitive that, you know, people kind of might, there's kind of that maybe that scale of, I would say maybe it's dull on the low end and fractious minded on the high end. And I'd say he's to me, he's in that middle ground, to where, to me, that's just right where, I mean, it's just ideal for me, especially using him where he's going to be paying attention when you're working him, or when you're day working on him, when you're using him, ranch rodeos, showing him, whatever. You know, he's paying attention. He's sensitive enough. He's probably, I bet he's going to be pretty cowy. He can move his body really well, and so, but he's not one that he's just overly sensitive to where you really have to pay attention and work some tricks to get him in the right state of mind. He, like I said, he stays in a good trainable state of mind all the time. Very, very nice horse here. And so he's really wanting to stop and back up. He's kind of has a natural desire to get his butt up underneath him and to stop, and I really like that. You know, I want to continue to build on that to where we ask him in a consistent manner every time, and we give him opportunity to have some reward with that stop, and we want to make sure that he's soft through that stop as well. Just kind of let him sit and rest a second. You see, so he's guiding around really well, but going both directions, getting comfortable on all different parts of this arena. You know, he already knows this is where he gets to rest, so you come through the middle, he's already checking back with you. He's wondering if we're going to get to stop right there, and I like that, where he's checking back with me, getting an opportunity, you know, looking for that opportunity to stop. As I said, he'll keep going as long as you want him to, but he's also, you know, like I said, but on the other side of that is he's good with stopping. He's good with hanging out all day. He's good with standing tied. You know, there's a few times that he kind of gets anxious a little bit standing tied, but it's just colt stuff. You know, the more we work him and give him the opportunity to, you know, it's no different than loading in the trailer. When you're, you know, those colts, those horses, especially those ranch horses, they learn pretty quick that getting in that trailer is a good deal, and they get to hunting it. It doesn't take very long for a ranch horse or ranch colt. If you get them loaded in there a couple times, it doesn't take very long for them to start hunting that trailer, because that's where they get to rest. And they get to rest when they're tied up the same, you know, in the same manner. So it's one of those things that just you make progress as you go. But I like how we can just we can walk off. He's still paying attention to me. He's not over, you know, he's not dull. He's not, I'm not having to pedal him, anything like that. We can just walk off and he'll keep doing he's listening to me, and it's just a good-minded horse here, just a good balance between all of them here. And as I said, in training, we're always looking to keep that balance, right? Some horses, maybe they fit that a little better than others, but bad training, you can get a horse going in that opposite direction, and you can kind of, I guess the point is that when we're training these horses, we want to be aware of what we're looking for, and how do we obtain that, and how do we keep that balance of a good-minded, trainable, responsive horse while we're training them. So I want to get back on this fence line and work on our stops on this fence line. So when I back up, I can kick his hip over in this stop and straighten his hip back up, but I want to use this fence line, if I can, to help him keep that hip straight and up underneath him when he's backing up, rather than trying to confuse these horses and needing to do too much to them. See right there, I stopped, picked up on those reins, backed up. He stayed relatively straight. I got a few steps and I quit him. And so every time I stop him now, I want to get a few steps backwards. I want that back up to be straight, and I want him to come back straight with good cadence in his feet and staying soft in my hands. So the same this direction. I'm going to pick up on these reins. I want him to keep driving forward until I take my feet off, and then have him come back. If he gets off this fence line, I do want to, I'll kick that hip over there a little bit and have him back up at this point, because he does understand what I'm needing him to do. I will kind of pause and put that hip back over there, kick that hip back over there a little bit, as I said, because he does understand at this point what we're wanting him to do. See right there was really good. He was really soft in my hands, had good cadence in his feet, and stayed relatively straight there. We worked on this quite a bit yesterday, and I'm just impressed. I worked to quit him in a good spot to where he was soft, had good cadence in his feet. He was coming backwards, and as soon as I got on him, I realized how much he remembered, he retained from that lesson. And so this horse is just very trainable, has a very good mind on him. Just been very impressed with him. So I want to do it at a walk. Right there, he kind of got locked up a little bit. I'll do it one more time at a walk, and then we'll advance to a trot and a lope. And so I want to review these things if I'm having trouble at a faster pace. So say I go to stop him at a lope and it's just terrible. Well, I may go back and remind him at a walk and a trot, and then if I need to pick up on him, remind him about this at a standstill, I can. And so it's all about, we build these colts. We add these exercises on top of each other, and we spend the time teaching so that we have something to go back to if things fall apart. I listened to an interview with Erin Termino, and she was talking about foundation, and to me it's a very good definition of a foundation, and that is having something to go back to when that horse kind of gets too fast or things kind of start falling apart, where you can slow things back down and you can go back to the basics and have that horse kind of remind that horse at a slower pace of what the fundamentals are, and then get those really good, and then go back and add that speed to it later. And so to me, that's a lot of what we do. If you understand these fundamentals, then the speed is no problem. Then you just add that speed and remind them the cues are the same, and you can help them refine things at that, when you add that speed. But if things are terrible when it's slow, at a standstill, a horse is stiff, well, then he's going to be even more so at a walk, trot, and canter. And then when things get really fast, you're just hardly going to have any control of that horse at all. It's just because when things speed up, those horses, if you haven't trained them to be able to take that speed, those horses aren't going to be thinking. And a lot of times it's just muscle memory when things get too fast. You realize that if you get into an intense situation, then you get into an intense situation, a lot of what you end up doing is just muscle memory. And they say that about getting into an altercation or a fight. A lot of it's just muscle memory. It's just reflex. And so we're kind of teaching these horses the muscle memory of here's the behavior I want you to have when here's the response I want you to have when I ask you in this manner. And then so when they feel that, they automatically respond in that manner. And the more the better we get that, the simpler it is for them, and we can add speed. And then every time if we understand those fundamentals, we add that speed to it, or we add a more complex maneuver to them, then we're able to do a lot better job because they understand the fundamentals. So he's done good there at a walk. I'll kind of trot him out, kind of put him back on this fence line over here. There. I like how he's backing up pretty straight right here. He's not thinking about moving that hip out. And so that's the benefit of doing some of this stuff on the fence line, to where we can take some of those extra variables out of the equation while we're teaching him. So right there, he kicked his hip in, to that fence, and that fence kind of corrected him without me having to do it. And so I didn't have to move my foot back there or change positions or change the direction of how I was pulling. I was just able to stay on course, and that fence corrected him on his own. And so some of this stuff, it helps with that muscle memory, as I was saying. So, you know, you teach a horse to stop in this manner, then, you know, you teach a horse to stop on the fence line, and he gets used to backing up straight. You know, he's gonna start just backing up straight all the time, a lot more. At least he's gonna have a lot more. He's gonna do it a lot more frequently. So like that, picked up on those reins. He stayed soft. He got his feet in the ground, and he come back right there. I want a little more cadence in his feet right here. There. He did kind of swerve off a little bit, but he started correcting himself on his own. As we get the fundamentals of this back up better, and I get more control over his hips and his body, then I can help him right there. I can get that back up and straighten that back up. See right there, he didn't have a whole lot of urgency to that stop. So what I mean by that is, when I pick up on these reins, I take my feet off. I want him to stop. And so we'll do it again. I don't want there to be any delay, or him dribble out of that stop, or him just kind of leak forward. They call it dribble forward, leak forward, whatever. But it's when you ask them to stop, you're right here asking them to stop, and they keep going forward. And we don't want that. I mean, we want to be able to pick up on this horse and him say yes sir right now, and him do it. That way we can build, and we can make things better as we go. But to tie back what I was mentioning before about our backup, once I get this, you know, he understands when I pick up on these reins, I back up, you know, he understands my feet. All of this stuff is really good. We have good cadence backwards. He's not confused at all, which we're doing really well right now. But then I can start kind of helping him by moving that hip back, getting a few steps, and so I could start coming out here in the middle of the arena and kind of helping him a little bit. So if he, you know, swerves his hip, so at that point, you know, I'll stop in the middle of the arena, and if he goes and I stop him, I back up, and he starts swerving off, I can put my foot back and move that hip and get his hip back the other direction, and then get some more steps and just correct him there. You know, you let him make the mistake, and then it'll just get to a point to where it's less and less, just because you've corrected him. You've corrected that behavior. You've changed directions, and things will get better. So we'll kind of lope him off a little bit, kind of see what our stop and our backup is like there. See, I like that he's guiding really well. That was my fault. He had I kind of I was out of tune a little bit, but he did what he needed to do. He got soft. He stayed soft right there. He stayed soft in my hands. He hit the ground and he come backwards. So he did right. I was out of tune with him a little bit. As I said, this horse he wants to stop, he wants to get his feet in the ground, wants to get his hind end up underneath him, wants to stay soft in that back up. I'm really pleased with how he's coming along. See, that was better. I said the more we go, we'll be able to kind of straighten that up a little bit, get some of that wiggleness, kind of that wiggle out of there a little bit. But I'm really pleased with how he's coming along. He's just can't say enough good things about him. You know, we'll continue working on advancing these exercises this week. Continue building upon the foundation we have. He's coming along very well, and we look forward to seeing how he comes along with the next set of exercises. So that's our review with him for this week. We'll catch up with you on the next one.